What's the first time you'd experienced wrestling? Like not physically, but the first memory you have, maybe of seeing it on TV or going to a show or a magazine.
As a kid, watching, because it's been on TV since before I was born. The 50s is when wrestling became, the TV became, and it became entertainment. But people really believe still it was still real. Some. Other than, oh, it's all bullshit. But it's really fascinating when you look at some of the matches that you could think that it would be, like some people would think it's all real. Like it's so much a show, and the more over the top, the better. But to me, those guys were like superheroes. And it was something I enjoyed watching. And then watching it, seeing it live. Me and my buddy, John Shipley, I was 25, I was 23 at the time, and we followed Gorilla Monsoon because he was the main event at this arena that we were at. So it was a convention center it was the middle of summer, no AC. So it was hot as hell. And there was no showers in the back of this place because years later, I would end up being there doing a charity thing. But Gorilla, when he got out of the ring, his bag was waiting right there and he left with all the people. And how do we get into wrestling, Gorilla? How do we get in? And we bothered him all the way to his car. And he finally gave us a number. And it was some guy who was one of those guys, oh, he's going to get beat. Like it was, back then they called them jobbers. Like, this is your job, put the other guy over. Now they're called enhancement guys. And he wasn't the greatest wrestler, but he could give us a little bit of a background. And I literally spent like 3 months. And then I hurt my knee in a match. And I was like, okay, I want to come back to this. But, I've been in the bar business since I was 17. Bouncer, bartender, bar back, whatever I could do, to make money. And the real job you want, not just maybe a manager, or a bartender, because you can make really great money. And it's like tips. So you never know what you're going to make. If it's busy, you're going to do well. And I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll joint. I was 23. And the booze, the broads, and the bravado took me in a different space. And I just never really thought about, I want to come back eventually. I want to go after that dream. But I just kept going with the bars and ended up opening a couple of bars and learning the business. And now I want to own my own place. And then WrestleMania happened. And I was so pissed that I was not a part of that. Like, I didn't follow my dream because I visually saw it. And a lot of people who say, man, I'll believe it when I see it. Those people never see shit. But the people who say, I believe it because I see it, those are the people who make and live that dream. Whatever it is, you gotta see it. And I saw it very young, very, very, very early on. But I got derailed, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because starting as a wrestler at 35, as opposed to 25, I was way smarter. I had lived a pretty full life already, running nightclubs and, being in fights and, trying to pacify this situation before it turned into that, because I was running the joints. But you're running a club, you're 6'4" and you're 220 pounds, you're still a bouncer too. And you're a bartender, and you're a bar back, and you're the manager. You're everything. And I love that job more than anything because of the women. More than anything. Everything else was gravy. But it was, again, that was the dream. You want to be, that's why you play sports. That's why guys pick up a guitar, because they want women to want to be with them, you know? And so back then, that's what it was to me. It was the booze, the broads, and the bravado, and just having fun in the bar business. And now wrestling, oh God, I should have been a part of that. And at some point, I started to head that way. But I thought I was too old at 31 to be a wrestler. But I could be a manager and talk for the guys. And how I got involved with that and how that actually happened should have never happened. It should never happen, but it did. And how when you're searching for a dream and you have passion, you have to be willing to be patient more than anything. Because even though I got to, it was called the AWA, which was in the Midwest part of the country. They were on ESPN every Saturday night. So next thing you know, I'm on ESPN every Saturday night. And I'm managing these two wrestlers. One's 5'8" and wrestles with no boots on. The other's 5'10". I'm 6'4". You know, with cowboy boots on, I'm like 6'7". And everybody's like, when's this guy going to wrestle? Oh, he's not. And I ended up working and developing relationships with guys like Dusty Rhodes, like Scott Hall, like Eric Bischoff. These guys who I worked with and developed relationships with. And that I ever got to WCW, which was owned by Turner Broadcasting, now is owned by Vince, well, not even Vince McMahon, is owned by the WWE. That I actually got there is ludicrous, like simply ludicrous. And I'm going to tell you the story. You probably won't use it, but it'll give you some context. I'm flicking the channels one night, because I stopped watching wrestling completely. And I see Gorilla Monsoon. And grew up with him. He's the guy who gave me original information on how to become a wrestler. Oh, wait, who's this guy with a crazy boa on and crazy sunglasses and a do-rag? It's Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura. This guy's amazing. Next thing you know, first guy through the curtain, got a bag over his shoulder, he got a Fu Manchu, long black hair, and he was Jake the Snake Roberts. And he sucked me back in. I watched him, the way he just walked, his swag to the ring. It's a bad motherfucker. He gets in the ring, I can't see through his shit. I'm like, what he's doing is I can't see through it. And then he cut a promo, which, wow, I got to see that match. Next thing you know, I'm back in as a fan. You know, I drive up to Tampa when they were wrestling there, you know, with some of my buddies. And one night, Jake walked in my club and we hit it off. And if you work Miami one night and Tampa the next, that's 300 miles. And right in the middle is Fort Myers. And that's where our club was. And Jake had let the guys know, if you're heading into Miami, you might want to stop in Fort Myers, because this guy Page, he'll hook you up. He's a friend of the boys. And Jake sent the guys in. So people saw me around all these guys. And at one night, I was in my office, and the guys are all counting, men and women are counting their drawers, and start talking about wrestling. And, you know, I say, you know, I tried it when I was a kid. Seriously, what was your name? Handsome Dallas Page. My buddy Smokey's like, you can forget about using that gimmick anymore. And we just start drinking, because that's when you get to work the bar business. You're drinking a little bit, but you're not really drinking, you know, on the floor. But now, you know, we might get home 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because we ain't got to be back here till whenever. And we were all sitting around drinking, and I just came up with the idea of, well, what if I was Diamond Dallas Page? And what if I had a whole stable of wrestlers and they were from the Diamond Exchange, and I had beautiful women like Diamond Dolls, but they weren't just girl next door hot. They were like stripper hot. And Smokey's like, oh, that's a stretch. Because back then I was friggin' dog, and my brains out, and it was spring break area, and that's what was important to me back then, still in my early 30s. And bottom line is that day I come up with that idea, and I wrote it down as I was saying shit in my chicken scratch. Only I could understand what I'm writing. But I wrote down Diamond Dallas Page. I wrote down Diamond Exchange. I put down the Diamond Dolls. And I'm very big and always have been big. Just don't think it, ain't it. Like, write it down. Burn it into your brain. I was just fucking around. I wasn't thinking this could happen. And then because we were the hottest spot to hit Southwest Florida since the sun, Tampa to Miami, we were the club in between there. And they wanted to do a story on the guy behind the voice of who does Norma Jean's dance clubs, who does all their commercials and everything. Like, who is that guy? And so they came in to do a story on The Voice. And that's what they called it. And I was in my 62 pink Cadillac. I was in the studio. I'm wearing a WrestleMania t-shirt. I mean, I'm a fan. And at some point, they're in my office, and they're called the Party News Network. And they were like, so where does The Voice come from? Because I might impersonate Macho or whoever, and oh yeah, don't forget hot legs, $1,000. Oh yeah, thinking I'll be there. Shit like that in the middle of stuff, of my commercials. And he said, where does The Voice come from? And I'm looking down that blotter, and it says all the shit that I was just around about the night, a couple nights earlier. And there's a pair of white sunglasses. If the glasses aren't there, I don't know if I do it or not, but they were there. And I could put them on and have a mask. I said, The Voice comes from Diamond Dallas Page, Daddy. I was born to be a professional wrestling manager. It's big, it's bad, it's Norma Jean's voice. And that was the end of it. I came back talking about my, rest of the club and promotions we were doing. Someone saw it, and his name was Smitty, and he had his own sports talk radio show. Back when that really wasn't a thing, but he had his boxing, and he did it every week on Saturday or whenever the day was. And I get a call in my office from the girls who answers the phone, and it just happened to be in the middle of the day. I'm never there, but I was. They said, Paige, there's someone on the phone for a Diamond Dallas Page. I grabbed the phone and went, you, Smokey, and I hung up the phone on him. And she called back. She said, that wasn't Smokey. His name is Smitty. He's got a talk radio show. I pick up the phone and go, who is this? And he tells me. And he says he wants me to come on and be his, expert about professional wrestling. I go, Smitty, I don't really do it. It's just something that was in my head that day. He's like, yeah, but you could still come on. It's radio. I go, bro, I don't know enough about it. He says, I'm going to have Captain Lou Albano be my guest. I go, the captain? You're going to have Captain Lou Albano? Do I get to talk to him? He's like, absolutely. That's why I want you to. I go, I'm in. So I do it with him, and then I do it with Sergeant Slaughter. And after that, me and Smitty went to get a drink, and he said, He said, you know, you got to do something with this Diamond Dallas Page thing. I go, do what? He's like, I don't know. He goes, it's so natural for you. It's something that, you know, you should be doing. I go, doing what? He said, because I have a friend who used to be a boxing promoter, now is promoting the AWA out of the Midwest territory. And I got his address. I go, you should make up a tape and send it to him. A tape of what? Me just talking like I'm the manager? He goes, you'll think of something. And he was right, I did. And I grabbed 3 guys who were bouncers for me. One I called Big Bad John, and he worked in my diamond mines in Johannesburg, South Africa. Like I'm writing backstory for this guy, which I never knew that that's what I was doing. I was just trying to make sense of what I was talking about. But I was literally writing a backstory for DDP. Another guy was Rock Hard Rick, and he was a shredded 250 pounds, one of my bodybuilder friends. And the other guy was a midget. And he would work the door for me, standing on a chair, IDing people as they came in. So, and I called him Ted E. Bear. And I grabbed a couple of my waitresses who'd be Diamond Dolls, and I made this videotape. And I sent it to the AWA. I sent it to Rob Russell. 2 weeks later, he calls me back. Is Diamond Dallas Page there? No one has ever called me that before. And I remember hearing a reverend say, the quickest way to get there is to act like you've already been. And that came to my mind as he was saying that. I said, yeah, this is DDP. Who's this? Rob Russell. Hey, Rob, what's up? Well, you know, we've seen your tape and we like it. And we want to bring you and your boys in for a tryout into Vegas. He goes, well, we got one question though. No one's ever heard of you. Where are you guys working at? Like, that's how professional my videos look. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't just, you know, on your phone. You know, it was something that looked professional, and they thought I was really doing it. They said, Rob, we got one problem with that. I go, those guys can't wrestle. What? Why would you send us a tape? I said, well, it's like a secret society. We can't figure out how to get in. Don't call us, we'll call you. And they did. 2 weeks later, Paul Heyman, who's one of the biggest stars in the world in professional wrestling still, in the office and out on TV, who manages guys, he was leaving the territory. He just told me this like 9 months ago when we were just sitting down grabbing something to eat. And he said, I'm the one. The reason why you got that call, because I was leaving. And I said, why don't you use this DDP guy? Give him a shot. Young guy, he could talk. Nobody's ever seen him. So that's how it started. And it never should have happened. Like, it should have been dead right there. If Paul E. Dangerously, which is the name he went by back then, if Paul Heyman doesn't leave, there's no opportunity. And all that gave me was to get my next opportunity, which would be with Dusty. And I was just watching Dusty's, one of his documentaries that they did on him last night. And the spot where he leaves Turner Broadcasting, Ted Turner, you know who that is?
No.
Yeah, but you've heard of Turner, you know, yeah. They wanted Dusty to be a heel. They wanted him to be a bad guy. He's one of the biggest baby faces of all time. And he's like, no, I'll go back to Florida where I was kicking ass and we're going to pop that territory. But those days were over because Vince had taken all the top guys from all of these, let's call them territories. And that was only because Vince McMahon's father died. And now he's taking all the chances and promising everybody everything. that he doesn't know if he'll be able to deliver or not, but he was. You know, so it was pretty crazy that it even got to be where it was at. And so that's why, you know, when it comes to, you know, 3.5 years it cost me to be Diamond Dallas Page before I made any money. And then when I made money, it was just getting by. Because after you paid for everything, you know, your gimmicks, clothing, you know, gas, rent-a-cars, I mean, you weren't making shit. And a lot of guys just say, screw it, you know, and they leave and they quit. And that's the whole thing. You can't quit. Even when they let you go, like, you can find a way back or not. It'll normally come down to how much time did you put in that made people give a shit about you? You know, because a lot of people believe it's all about who you know or who knows you. I know it's all about who's willing to say they know you, who's willing to pick up a phone and make a call for you, who's willing to put their name on the line for you. And that's huge. And that's why I wouldn't say the one reason, but that is one of the main reasons that I got to live the dream the way I have and why you're here.
It is coming to the end of the year, and you know what that means. Mulligan Brothers Not a Journal and the Memento Mori posters are back on sale. Buy one, get one free. Use code 2026 at checkout to get 2 journals for the price of one, or you can mix and match with the Memento Mori posters. The journal was designed by myself. It's super simple. It has goals, affirmations, it has a list to get stuff done, and it breaks it down every single day. And then we have the Memento Mori poster, a poster that reminds you that you are going to die. And as morbid as that sounds, it's been one of the most motivational tools I have used in my life. I've shaded it up until the age that I am, and every single week I shade in another black square. Somewhere along there, it could have been the square that I filled in this morning, there is a square that will be my last. And that to me is one of the most powerful and motivational framing that I've ever had. So if you want the journal, if you want the poster, head over to mulliganbrothers.com with a link down below and use code 2026 up until stocks last. Once it's gone, guys, like every year we always sell out, it is gone.